In June of this year, the city broke ground on the Centennial Corridor project by connecting the West Side Parkway to Highway 58, the end goal to eventually provide a continuous east-to-west freeway through all of Bakersfield.
But what about the people who have been left behind in the wake of the project? Eyewitness News reporter Raina Harvey went door to door in those communities and brings you their story.
I spoke to families who live in neighborhoods that have been forever changed by the Centennial Corridor project, and why many of them say they agree with the city moving forward. They just don't want to be left behind. Dust settles on the ground after a long day of construction in this Lakefield neighborhood.
The dust is horrible. The scenery, I mean, it's dirt. You know, before it was houses and green lawns and neighbors and kids playing and fences, and it was a pretty neighborhood.
The ground isn't the only place dust seems to settle as construction workers break ground in efforts to realign sewer lines for the Centennial Corridor project. It's also found its way into homes.
We wouldn't have had the dust if the trees and the houses weren't torn down.
Peggy Abrego lives on Morrison Street off Stockdale Highway. She is one of many who feel left behind as the corridor moves forward.
This is a very personal thing. This is very heartbreaking.
Her home sits just 2 doors down from what was once several houses, but is now a vacant field.
I lived in apartments for 13 years in Arvin, called the Hood. I mean, it was the Hood. And finally was able to get my kids out of there.
But that excitement has now turned to disappointment.
We could let my kids play in the yard. We could let them outside without having to worry. It was a good neighborhood. The kids played outside, and now there's no one that goes outside.
Dirt and debris are not Peggy's only problem. She says she's had several break-in attempts.
Someone was trying to climb over our fence at night. It was late at night. And my husband came out and scared them off.
Infestations.
Kind of embarrassing, but the bugs, roaches. You know, they come out of one house and they have to find another house.
And felt trapped inside her home.
5 minutes ago, there were 2 vehicles in front of my driveway. Couldn't back out. We have to go pick up my kids pretty soon. How are we going to get out? And that's just the beginning.
My mother bought this house in 1989.
Robin Klein lives around the corner with her ill mother, Frankie James.
And she had been given a year to live.
James owned 2 houses on Dunlap.
Well, my mother assumed that they would buy our house too. I mean, they told us that in the beginning.
One of them was torn down to make way for the project. The city didn't need this one. Well, not all of it at least.
And then right towards the end, they said no, they decided they didn't want our house. They just want part of our front yard.
Robin says the lengthy project has not made things easier on her mother's health.
She's in the last stages of cancer, and it's been not very healthy for her. There's a lot of dust, and we can't open up our windows or anything.
And in between the noise...
Okay, well, this is what we wake up to behind you.
And what she says is an increase in crime. And like Peggy, she's also battled break-ins, 3 since construction started.
She was home alone. They got the black screen open, but we have a door with a real thick piece of glass, and there's footprints all up and down it. She heard that, and when she screamed out, they took off.
She's unsure of the future of her childhood home.
Well, just being wondering what we're going to do. This was a nice house to keep, you know, and hopefully we'll still be able to keep it in the family.
I spoke to a lot more than 2 people, and they all had similar concerns. So I brought their issues to the city. Don Anderson oversaw the demolition portion of the project. With regards to noise, the city is required to stay within certain sound codes, which they say they're doing. He says they work only in the day and are working on adding sound walls that will drown out the noise. With the dust, they have water trucks that are used to keep dust from traveling off-site and placed wood chips down to prevent it from blowing away. Regarding the critters,
we have heard about rat infestation, not so much about roaches, but we connect them with the Kern County mosquito and vector control. They also deal with rodents.
And the increased number of homelessness entering the neighborhoods. They say they have remedied that with an increased police presence and demolishing homes that people can no longer occupy.
Now that we have completed the demolition, we do not have the same problem we had before because there is no place for people to hide.
Regardless, Peggy and Robin say they are still stuck in an unfortunate situation. They don't want to stand in the way of the city's progress. They just wish things were done differently.
I feel like they didn't even care. They should have come up to us and knocked on our door, called us something and said, hey, you're not on the list, but can we help you move?
The silver lining for me is that I think maybe we don't need it here, but we do need it. You drive around this town, you know, it's really hard to get around.
The city says the Centennial project is projected to be completed in the year 2021. For now, reporting in Bakersfield, Raina Harvey, Eyewitness News.